All right. Here we go. So welcome to Lipstick, Lollipops, and Hope, where we open up honestly about many different topics, and we find hope at the end of the episode in them. Tonight, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Derek Bishop. And we met almost 3 years ago. I came in, I was going through a physical body change. I was trying to lose a lot of weight. I had gotten depressed and had gotten a little heavy, and I figured, why not CrossFit? Also, every year at that time, I started to put up new goals. I decided every year I was going to put up a new goal. And that year, my goal was to do a Rugged Maniac. So I needed to do ropes, things like that. And they had a class. And were you at the 5 a.m.? Was it the 5 a.m. was my first class?
I'm sure I was, especially at that time.
Yeah, so I think he was my first 5 a.m. teacher. And I was like, oh, kick ass. Like, I get a personal trainer at 5 a.m. because nobody else wants to be here.
That's right. It was like at most 2 or 3 people.
Maybe 2. For a while, it was just me.
I do remember this.
Yes, okay. So that's how I met Derek. And then, now our relationship has grown as far as our friendship. I've had a back injury, and I came in here, I would say like 10 weeks ago. I was crying. I said, Derek, you have to help me. I'm like at my wit's end. I don't really know what to do. I'm in so much pain. Can you help me out? So he hooked me up with Dr. Volstead here. And then we start talking about some of the things that he's doing here, some of the changes that he's making. And then he made a comment to me. I think it was 2 weeks ago he made this comment. And I said, wow, I really want to talk to him. Because he said, most people don't know what I went through to get here. And I'm not going to say what he said to me. I'm going to let him say it. So I just want to introduce you to Derek. And I'm so excited because he's been a rock solid when it comes to my recovery with my back injury, when it comes to recovery, when it comes to my working out. And he's actually allowed me to stay here on staff every Sunday night in trade.
You blessed us on staff. What's really going on there?
So it's a win-win for both of us. So go ahead, Derek, tell us a little bit about where you started, where you are, and what this is all about, and so we can have this conversation.
Gotcha. Well, Kelly, I have to say thank you so much. You're a very dear friend. And we absolutely love having you a part of the CrossFit squad.
Oh, thank you.
And the service that you do for us on staff on Sunday nights is crucial. And it's more about what you add is an ethos of sticking to being a part of the team and doing what you say. And it carries over. And you're an amazing part of that. And I'm flattered for the things you say. I don't know if they're actually true, but I appreciate you having me. So you wanted me to start off tell my own personal story? So, definitely a lifetime athlete. I was raised in Bradenton, Florida, other side of the state, and I was just always obsessed with football. So I was 5 years old. My dad took me up to the local football field, and I started playing flag football when I was 5. So I've been nothing but a jock my whole life, and I'm, still almost 32 years old today, nothing but a jock in a gym.
Still a young buck.
Exactly. But so I was always obsessed with sports. So I was playing sports. I was always really good. And then I got to about 12 years old. I'll never forget it. So no, it was 11. I was in 6th grade. So until that point, I was always the best player on the team and usually like one of the better athletes on the field. Mm-hmm. So I got to 6th grade in that like middle school range where, people hit different growth spurts at different times, so on and so forth. And I just wasn't that much above average in 6th grade. And I remember thinking that the whole year, like, why am I not dominating like I was in, kindergarten through 5th grade? And I went to my dad after that year, which I had the most incredible supportive parents in the world. I came from a very socioeconomically, modest beginnings, but I was absolutely spoiled with love. So after the football season, went to my dad. I was like, Dad, I have to get bigger, stronger, faster. So he's like, okay. And my dad at the time was a prison guard. So my dad was a prison guard for 10 years. So he goes back and, some of the best training knowledge you can get is inside of a prison.
Yep.
So my dad is a prison guard, goes and...
they come out cut, ripped, and shredded.
Exactly. Cut, ripped, and they're doing something right. So he goes and asks the inmates, hey, my son wants to start training, blah, blah, blah. What do we do? Because my dad didn't have much of an educational background in strength and conditioning and training. And they go, hey, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get a tire. You're going to put weights on it. and he's going to sprint with it. He's going to run 1040s twice a week. And then I remember the handwritten bench program. So twice a week he's going to run weighted 40s basically. Then twice a week he's going to do this bench program. So I go do this all summer, 6th grade. My bench literally, I'm like 11. I think I went from 11 to 12 years old. Went from 115 to 175 in 7th grade. So then, like, I show up the next year, and my 40 went from, like, I think it was like a 6'6" down to like a 5'4", which in 40 times is like...
In girl language, what does that mean?
So in girl language, that would be, that's tough. So it'd be like you ran a 12-minute mile, and then you came back the next race and ran like a 7-minute mile.
Gotcha.
Like it's night and day. Okay. So I came back the next year, and I was just absolutely killing kids. It was like a cheat code on just football, just murdering kids. And so from that point on, I just became obsessed with sports performance, weightlifting, strength and conditioning, and how much that could really just advance your life from there. So long story short, not to stay on that part of my life for too long, I continued that. I progressed it into national level Olympic lifting. I obviously went and played high school football, where at Bayshore High School I was 2-time All-State, and I should have won state weightlifting championship, but I missed weight. I was the first seed. Anyways, still mad about it.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, exactly.
I heard that story.
A whole other not proud story. But I was a pretty good high school athlete, and through that experience in 6th and 7th grade and all of that, my dad was like, "Son, we want you to go to college, but we can't pay for it." So he's like, "If you want to go make yourself better," and they were always pushing me in academics, and I always got A's and B's all the way through high school. You're gonna have to earn a scholarship. So 5'9" kid from Bradenton, Florida, 2-time All-State in a very distinguished part of the state, in the most competitive state in all of the country in terms of high school football. After my senior season ended, and I still had all these accolades and all this good stuff, I didn't have a football scholarship yet. So my dad and my head coach Raymond Woody, who's now the D-line coach at Florida State University, were like pounding on every college's door, like, "This kid is a baller. You need this kid." Got one scholarship offer up to Liberty University, where I went and started 27 games. We won. So Liberty University is in Lynchburg, Virginia, and it's a Division I FCS football program. And genetically, I had no business being at that caliber of a football team. But again, from my lessons I learned back in middle school and high school, no one worked harder than me.
Right.
And I ended up setting, it's on YouTube somewhere, where I set a school record for hang power clean at 445 pounds and, and whatever. And started all of 27 games and played with the winning program. And so that all those lessons I learned from all those trials of being out in the sun, I just remember kids looking at me and my dad like, "What's wrong with that kid? Why is he doing that? Why is he working so hard? Is his dad punishing him?" Go back to school and they'd be like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Are you okay? You look a little weak. Like, what's going on, man?" And so those stories are carrying over now as I'm 31, 32. And there's a huge problem in society and medicine and fitness, and everyone sees it now, right? We have so much information at the tips of our fingers, and everyone understands that our medical industry is a complete farce. That, I don't want to go into naming certain industries and naming certain people that are doing certain things, but there are a lot of people hooked on pharmaceutical drugs that are put in boxes, and I can tell off anecdotal experience through my gym here at the CrossFit Squad, and now this company, Movement for Vitality, that if you move correctly, if you get more fit, not only do you see physical, incredible life changes, your inner person, right? So your psychology, your emotions, so your metaphysical being, everything that is you, your spiritual being, also improves dramatically, your self-esteem.
Well, that was, when I came here to talk to you, I was at that point where I had went to the chiropractor. He wanted me to go to, I had my MRI. I think I showed you my MRI.
Yes.
Didn't I? Yeah. And then I had, the herniated disc, which everyone has, but I had these 2 discs that were touching my spinal cord. One's touching my spinal cord, one touching the base of my nerve. Like excruciating pain, and all I want to do is work out, and all I want to do is get better. And I get, go to pain management, and I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to pain management. I'm not covering it up. I see all these people I deal with people in recovery. I'm not doing that. And I thought instantly that there's got to be somebody in my community, either, here or somebody that I know that can help me. And as soon as I talked to you that day, you helped me with just some exercises. And then you hooked me up with Dr. Volstad, and even the simplest things that he was teaching me. And I not that I was skeptic, but I'm like,
Right.
Okay, you want me to do cat-cow?
Right.
Like
I've
you
never
want me to
done
stick my
cat-cow
ass
before.
up
Right.
and my ass out and bend over? What do you really?
I've seen this before.
Yeah, like, come on.
Right.
Like,
But then it works.
and then it works.
Right.
Yeah. And, after even just my third round with him, and I'm still doing it at home. I have a regimen every morning.
So
and
awesome.
I have a regimen now. As soon as I get done training, I do it before, but I also do it after. I make sure that I do it. I make sure I've got that 10 minutes or 5 minutes to just stretch it out and do the movements. So
That's such an incredible story, as you were able to intuitively, since you work out, you know what's going on, you know what's best for you. You went to an MD who, everybody needs to hear this part. This part is what will change people's lives. If they take a picture, an MRI or CT scan of any of our joints, and we're over the age of like 15, and we've done any kind of physical activity, that is going to read something of wear and tear, of some kind of something that can be defined as damage.
yeah, and you and I you don't know but I've been an athlete since I was, 10.
Right.
But mine was softball, soccer, volleyball. But I ended up in speed skating. So
Wow.
from
That's
from sixth grade on, I was a speed skater. So we trained speed skating. I mean, you would talk about falls.
It's high impact, for sure.
High impact. And then our training was also, during the summer, I would go from here to Tampa and train in Tampa with one of the best teams up there. And we would hit the Zephyr Hills. So you want to talk about wear and tear on your knees,
Right.
and your back and your arms and your wrists, and yeah.
100%. And a person who is, I've watched Kelly work out. If anybody questions how athletic Kelly is, she's extremely athletic and extremely tough. But to your point, we get caught up in competing. We get caught up in, man, I want to do that thing I used to do. And in getting caught up in that thing we used to do, which I'm the biggest knucklehead of them all, we start falling into imperfect movement patterns. So, and Dr. Volstad was one of the people that was educating me on this as a medical professional, that, MRIs that have bad readings, if you rehab them properly, if you can get blood flow into them and you can keep them out of bad positions, the MRIs can improve over time. Your body does have mechanisms in which it can heal itself, and then intuitively we know that's all true. So the key is not masking the pain. The key is staying away from pain while staying active. So that's exactly what physical therapy is. How can we actively get range of motion into the damaged areas and therefore create blood flow, which is going to get nutrients, synovial fluid, and all of these great things inside of our body back into the area. And then you have to have a professional eye that can take you from the baby step, which is like, I can stand up now. Well, a lot of people go from I can stand up now to loaded back squats.
Right.
Well, there's like 18 different things we can do in between that.
I want to backtrack because you said, masking the pain. So one of my options, and he actually helped me, Dr. Volstad actually helped me make the final decision. They said, well, why don't you go get an epidural? And the crazy part is my brother and I had the same injury. So he and I talked about it, and he says, well, I'm going to go get mine because he has a VA. And I said, okay, well, mine's going to cost me $500, so I think I'm going to wait, right? And
it's a lot of money.
Yeah, and I went to Dr. Volstad the very next day. I said, I'm going to go see physical therapy first. And he said, listen, you can get it, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't get it. I just don't think it's a good idea. What I'm saying is that if you can not mask the pain and actually kind of work through, stretch, and he says motion is lotion.
Yes,
he said, the movement, and you get those movements going, it will get better.
Right.
And he actually said to me, give me 9 weeks.
Yep.
He said, give me at least 6, but probably 9. And we're at week 10, and I started training again with weights like 3 days ago.
That's so incredible. And it sounds like a corny line, motion is lotion, but it's it's a literal term.
Yeah.
So if you start performing full ranges of motion with the joint, it enacts synovial fluid, which is a lubrication inside your body that allows the joints, ligaments, tendons, and everything to glide smoothly. But if it stays stiff and it doesn't move, which is a lot of times when injuries happen, and the swelling might not allow the movement, or the pain might not allow the movement. So then his term, which I'm stealing constantly, motion is lotion, is much better. Is a great term. So it's definitely. People need to move. Movement is medicine. And you need to move properly through the proper movement patterns. There's about 6 things everybody needs to be able to do to be a functional human being. Can you squat, i.e. get out of a chair? Can you hinge at the waist, i.e. pick things up off the ground? Can you push things with your upper body, like 100 things we do throughout the day? Can you pull things, open up the fridge? Can you...
That's the most important.
Exactly. I mean, that's by far the most important. The other 2 things that might escape people that still is vital to be an independently, physically, functioning human being is, can I step up on something? So can I single leg? Can I hold my weight on one leg and basically do a lunge? And then can I carry things? So farmers carries like we do in training all the time. So if we can get people, which there are millions of them that have been put in a box that was probably for the financial advantage of an insurance company or a medical doctor or a medical sales rep that had incentives on the back end. So wherever you're getting your information and your diagnosis is from, you should probably think about the financial incentives on the other side of that. And that's with everything in life. Whatever research you're reading, 97% of it is garbage that was funded by somebody that's getting a financial incentive.
You mean everything
to
on Facebook isn't true?
Hard to believe, right? Because I mean, it read like something I believed, so I was like, that must be true, So that's the fault of everything now is marketing understands that from especially big corporations that have tons of research and data on us, that if they attack our psychology, that we're gonna like things, we're gonna pick stuff on our point of view. So being as open-minded and aware as possible and not holding to ideologies and ideas and standing on a side of the fence, and I'm not talking about politics, I'm talking about fitness, beliefs about yourself and health, that if you intuitively feel yourself and you have some kind of connection spiritually to yourself, that it can allow you to help
that's
yourself.
kind of, you and I were talking, is that for me, I had gotten, part of my story was I got really depressed, gained weight, didn't feel any kind of whatever, wanted to commit suicide, right? So when I started, and that's actually because I stopped working out. Like I stopped doing the motions of life in general. So I stopped working out, I stopped eating healthy, I stopped doing all the things that made me feel good. And, when I started coming here, I had more of a community. So I had this community, which is a connection to people, which then kind of goes back to a connection to spirituality in a sense.
100%.
And then I realized that, hey, I actually enjoy going back to this, and it made me feel healthier emotionally, physically, spiritually.
That's so incredible. And thank you for sharing that with us and me about those darker days in your past, which we all have dark days in our past. Now what that expresses itself as is going to be different for each person. And I'm very glad you did in that day, because my life is better because that we have a relationship and you're my friend. And you're such a bright spot in everyone's life I know that you're a part of, as we share many friends. And I couldn't agree with that more. Obviously, I'm a little biased as I own one of the best gyms around.
That is true.
Very much appreciated. But it's really about everyone being able to go to a place that is we've all checked the box of I want to make myself better. And we've all checked the box of I know I'm not perfect, obviously. And then through now that's the spiritual part, and that's that empathetic human growth part. But the science part is, and that then as we exercise, after we create those, relationships with people, the releasing of serotonin, dopamine, that happens when you're doing physical activity. Endorphins, yes. So these things that allow us those positive emotions just exacerbates that great feeling. And it's therapeutic, because much of life is deliberate, is we have to do this to survive. And this is then something we choose to make ourselves better, and it feels good and it's awesome.
Well, what I really liked, because I was afraid of CrossFit, period. And what I like about this program, but I'll touch on that. I walked into here never taking a CrossFit class at all, class, squad, whatever you guys want to call it. But so when I walked in here, you guys modified things for me. Like I couldn't do some overheads. I'm old and I got injuries, right? So
you're not old.
and nobody like made me feel bad or anything like that. And it was just, and it made this community of wholesome in a sense. And then I would always I'd be like, hey, I'd tell my girlfriends, hey, why don't you come to CrossFit? Oh, I can't do that. It's too hardcore. It's too this, it's too that. So with this new program, not only is a little more movement and more compatible for someone who doesn't have the ability to do the overhead, presses or again, he's been laughing at me because I never know the names. I'll go, what are we doing again?
She does them all well, and she's like, just show me what I'm doing.
I'm like, just show it to me because I don't know the name.
It's all good.
Just a couple things. But to do those things, and they can now also have that sense of community, and then also get the benefits of the movement. So, go ahead.
Yeah, so 100%. So this company, which is in basically a very nice back room that has AC in the back of my gym, Movement for Vitality is exactly for that. I can't tell you how many people had loved ones that they have no program to go to. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. There are programs that are trying. They're trying to do it. Silver Sneakers, which is funded by Medicare Part C, I believe, is trying. 90-something% of those programs are not going very well. They're not giving people what they need, because what they need actually is a blend of physical therapy protocols and the community and a little bit of fitness built into it. So that's what me and Dr. Volstad have been working on. I've had the privilege, and through my entire life, I could ramble about this for hours, of just coming across high-achieving, extraordinary, world-class people, trainers, coaches. I've been on world-class teams. I've coached world-class athletes, and there's a universal principle that resonates through all those different levels down to people that are injured, people that are elderly, or newborns or young kids that are learning, is that you have to go through assessment of movement and progress it step by step. And that's universals, And for people that aren't able to do a squat snatch, that aren't able to do a max deadlift, that just, are post-surgery, or are just very overweight and
getting old.
No. Or people that are drastically overweight, diabetic, and are too scared to go participate in my big scary CrossFit class. Movement for Vitality is a compact, low impact, incredible program that just puts you through full ranges of motion, very light loads, but it's a great workout. Like I've played Division I football, and I've been to the CrossFit Games, and I still work out intensely, and I do these workouts as a tester before I implement them with the clients, and I just feel great. My joints feel lubricated, my muscles feel activated, and what it definitely does, it creates a much, much better and needed mind-body connection through the very basic movement patterns that we need to do. When you're doing any kind of squat, deadlift, hinge, are you activating your core? Are you retracting your scapula? Are you breathing properly?
Well,
are you squatting
said
properly?
That. So this is crazy, and I'm an athlete, right? But I found out that my back issues, yes, it was due to a fall, all that stuff, but my back issues also stemmed from I don't have enough core, and I had this one, he called it the iliac psoas, that was just so tight and pulling so hard, and I'm putting ice on my back, and he said, no, this is the section that it is, and it's like there was exercises that he showed me that I would have never, I was doing, I think I was doing downward dog just because I thought I was stretching out my hamstrings and that. And he was like, no, that one is the last one you
inclination.
Need to do. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty interesting. Like you don't really know what you can benefit or what you can hurt if you're not making the right movements with the right person.
Right, 100%. So that's why me and Volstad, so what I do is I have strength and conditioning or functional fitness protocols, which is basically just checking the boxes. Are you activating these people properly? Are you touching all the body parts depending on their frequency of when they can train? And then I am utilizing and sourcing Kyle since he has a PhD in physical therapy, and so he has a better understanding of anatomy.
An amazing man and friend.
Yes.
And just, I can't say, I wish he was here
Great guy.
tonight, but
Next time. Next time. Great guy. And so we combine our knowledge bases of me having a better understanding of energy systems, of full range and movement patterns that are combined and built into full functional compound movements, and then his underlining knowledge of anatomy and then how to deal with injuries and repair them. So we're meeting in the middle with our two expertise.
Meeting of the minds.
100%. And there is no program. I've researched it endlessly. There is no program like this. There is no physical therapy-based fitness program. It does not exist. Well, now it does.
Yes, now it does.
So we're very excited about it.
Yeah, so cool. So, the whole thing is about, I said lipstick, lollipops, and hope is the podcast. So the hope for me that I get out of this is that no matter where you start in the process, as long as you continue to move forward towards it, you'll reach your goal. 100%. And whether it's coming to Movement for Vitality to get, to be able to lift a little bit more, or to be able to even just move. I know I work with clients with disabilities.
Move without pain is the main goal.
Yeah, and I work with clients with disabilities, and some of their physical therapy is dropped because they're at that point where, they progressed as far as they possibly can, but they need to add some weights and some movements and things like that. So
100%.
It's not just a program for me. I don't see it as just a program for the elderly. It could be anyone who
100%
needs to improve. Maybe to touch on that real quick as far as
100%. So what's funny is we spend in my CrossFit classes the first 20 minutes, which you can speak of, activating and warming up. And honestly,
and I'm always like, when are we going to get to lifting weights?
Why are we doing